Hey, it's Abby Clancy here from the Therapy Crouch, and our podcast is currently sponsored by H&M and their new kids collection. If your kids outgrow clothes overnight like mine do, and they only wear what's popular right now, you'll love this range from H&M. It's stylish, comfy, and packed with autumn essentials. Trousers, sweatshirts, knitwear, skirts, and more. And the best part is the price. So when the next growth spurt hits, you're ready. Shop H&M's latest kids collection in-store or online at hm.com today.
Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. I am so excited to do this one.
That's because we're going to remember all of it.
I feel like it's the one that I've been talking about since we started the show. You got Jagger back first. And I feel like that was a surprise. And obviously it's a surprise that he's recast too. But where it definitely seemed like Lucky was literally never coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were smart enough not to try to recast him.
Again, they have.
Right.
And we will get into that. We will get into that. But this is my origin story. This is my first person that I remember watching and, being all goo-goo over. I think I have a thing for Jonathan's because I was obsessed with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I thought about this the other day. Obsessed with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Jonathan Jackson, and I love Jonathan Groff. When I found out that he's gay, I wanted to cry.
Maybe you just have a thing for Jays.
Maybe, because, JD. Maybe we can just change what the J, we'll change what the J stands for in JD. I'm sure he doesn't like it anyway, so we'll change it. His mom would love that. She would love it. She's the only person that calls him by his actual name. Even his dad calls him JD. So, and I meant that with all the love in the world about Jonathan Groff. I do, though. I watch him still, but I'm just I love you. I had zero chance with you to begin with, and then you added an extra barrier.
Right.
So, I know where we're going to get started, but it's where do we get started? I really am so happy. Okay. Anyway, we are using, this is the worst part. Fandom, it's not very good. So we went to our girl, Curly Q, who has...
She hooked us up with this one.
Who has a lot of edits. And so this is going to be a very thorough investigation into Lucky Spencer, who, and I will remember when I started watching, my mom was always, we joke about that person's not even supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I would never stop hearing about Luke and Laura did not have a son that could be this age. And it's
be quiet, Mom.
Let it go. He's gorgeous.
Right. It's allowed if the actor portraying the character is that beautiful. Okay. They can make him whatever age they want.
But it's not just that. It's that they do it for a reason, Yeah. So, okay. So we'll get started in 1993. I have Fandom and Curly Q pulled up just to see if there's anything. It just says that Lucky Spencer was born in Texas off screen on August 19th, 1985 to Luke and Laura Spencer. Lucky's birth year is revised to 1983 when he first appears on screen at the age of 10 in October 1993. His date of birth is revised again in May 2011, which is when I got married. Maybe it happened on my wedding day, when it appears on his marriage license as July 15th, 1979. Oh my gosh, hold on 1 second here. Did they get married the same day I did?
Oh my gosh.
Hold the phone. Lucky and Siobhan. Now Lucky will remember James's birthday.
Your wedding day.
Why don't they have their wedding? Married? They got married in March of 2011 to keep, we'll get
All
there.
Right.
That would have been awesome. Okay, anyway, I got married in real life. He was a character, is a character. So then it says Lucky's character is a bit of a paradox, described as having qualities from both of his parents, Luke's edge and wildness, and Laura's purity and innocence.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that's where I'm going to stop, because then it goes on to talk about stuff that happens later. So
Okay.
we get started with the arrival on October 29th, 1993. The scene opens in a diner in Canada on Halloween. Luke and Lucky scare Laura with their costumes. Lucky rides off on his bike. Famous L&L dance in the diner scene, because that's Luke and Laura's diner. Oh, we should totally get into, man, we have so much to talk about. A friend of Luke's starts up Luke's truck and blows it up. L&L realize Frank Smith's men have once again caught up with them, and it's time to run. Laura is terrified for Lucky's safety. Luke convinces her Lucky is safer traveling to Port Charles alone than being with them, and Lucky knows what to do. He's 10.
I was just going to say it at 10. Could you imagine telling one of our kids, yeah, find your way from Canada to Port Charles, okay?
Well, just remember they are closer together than we realize.
Yes. But still don't think that any of my kids, probably even to this day, could cross borders on their own.
But it's not even that. They wouldn't even be allowed to.
Right.
You couldn't even put a 10-year-old on a bus now. So any bus, like even a local bus, other than a school bus. So they were living in British Columbia. So I don't know how far away that would be from.
I'm not sure.
British Columbia, who we always say Buffalo, distance from. Do not give me kilometers in miles. In miles. 2,000. It is on the other side of Canada. Why didn't I just look at the map?
Because we didn't think like that.
No. So it is late at night on Thursday, the 29th of August. We kind of forgot that we had a schedule change until, thankfully remembered before it happened.
You know what? I need to get better, obviously, but it was one of those things where, like, I have mentioned going away this weekend 400,000 times. I have invited you and your family to come too when I bought the tickets. And still, it never occurred to me until this week when I'm like, what do I have to do? Oh, crap, I'm going to be gone on Sunday. I guess
I don't think you mentioned it more than the time that you asked us if we wanted tickets.
I think I mentioned it more than that, but I probably didn't say the actual date.
I would have had it on my calendar. I put Madeline's stuff on my calendar. I would have definitely had it on my calendar.
I don't think I talked about it in regards to the podcast. I think I just talked about it like in general.
No, but even in general, I would have thought about that, because that's where my brain goes, is scheduling. So anyway, back to Lucky. So British Columbia, would take a long time. Lucky arrives home and hears the message in code to run on the answering machine. So, I mean, they probably also they raised him that way,
True.
He calmly gets the money out of the freezer, his packed backpack out of the closet, and leaves. L&L watch in horror as their friend dies in the truck fire. On a flight to Chicago, so he even got on this plane. He beats the flight attendant at gin rummy and wins another sundae, like an ice cream sundae. Lucky is continuing his journey. He leaves a letter for his parents under a fictitious name at the car rental place in Chicago. Now he's driving at 10. The goons report back that the Spencers made it out of Canada. They suspect that they are headed to Port Charles. Oh, you know what? He probably was leaving fake details at the car rental place by having it seem like it was Luke and Laura that were traveling. That wouldn't make sense, though, because then that would mean that the person would be following him.
I think he knew that they were going to rent a car at some point. So he was just like, my parents will be here soon. Can you give them this letter? But he gave a fake name.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Lucky takes a bus to Port Charles, and we see him travel through the streets of Port Charles on foot. Finally, he sees a sign, Kelly's Diner, 2 blocks ahead. And then she just has a note that says, I love all the location shots. It's great to see the town as they imagined how Port Charles would look like. And neither of us had a chance to watch any of these videos, so we're not even going to have that memory refreshed. Luke and Laura are relieved to find the message from Lucky waiting for them in Chicago that Lucky is safely on his way. Okay, good job.
Thanks.
Lucky walks into Kelly's and introduces himself to Ruby. Oh, she was so happy. He tells Ruby all that no one can know that he is in Port Charles except for Bobbie. Lucky is being introduced to Jagger, and the two goons break through the doors of Kelly's. Jagger fights them off, and Lucky's able to escape. What is going to happen when we see the two of them together?
Oh, that's going to be funny because he's going to be like, what happened to you? You were such a nice guy, and now you're such a jerk.
Well, and not only that, considerably older.
Well, he's not going to mention that.
No. Bobbie is shocked. Well, I guess they don't really have to address that because Jagger was still older, but yeah. Jagger is still older than he is. So it's not like they aged him at I feel like he's in his 50s, and we know that Lucky's in his 40s. World. Bobbie is shocked to arrive and find the damage at Kelly's. Ruby tells her about Lucky being in Port Charles, and Luke and Laura are on their way. Lucky sleeps outside by the river. The next morning, we see him walking by the river, and it's another beautiful location shot. Later in the day, Lucky hides out in a movie theater watching a scary movie, and the little boy next to him jumps during a scary part. It is Sly Eckerd, who he later discovers is his cousin. They introduce themselves and decide to start watching the movie again. Lucky asks Sly if there are any good places to hide. Sly suspects he has run away from home, and he shows him the catacombs.
Oh, that's great.
Sure. Sly brings Lucky some burgers from Ruby's and tells Lucky about his dad, Bill Eckerd. Luke and Laura hit town in a pink Cadillac to the song of the same name. They are speeding through town and are pulled over by a cop. Both are in disguise. Laura is a very pregnant woman, and she pretends to be in full labor. Oh, that's funny. The officer provides them with an escort to General Hospital. Funny moment as Lucky sees them go by with a police escort, and then there's an aerial view as they drive through Port Charles. Lucky asks Sly to get a note to Ruby for his parents. The goons spot Lucky, fire a shot in the air, and give chase. Sly takes Lucky back to the house, and Lucky is amazed by how much Bill Eckerd looks like Luke. Oh my gosh, it's like they have the same actor. Sly tells Bill about Lucky's trouble, and Bill insists on contacting the police. Lucky begs him not to, and Sly is furious with his father for letting him down. Lucky and Sly head to the catacombs, and then there's an aerial view of them entering the catacombs behind the waterfall. Oh man, we really need to rewatch this stuff.
I remember that. I do remember that. It was behind a waterfall, and they don't do it like that.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I definitely did not watch the very beginning of Lucky because I was not in the right headspace to watch anything. So I really do think it was probably, the summer, because I was in 6th grade when this happened. So this is when I would have only been watching during the summer.
Right.
And I definitely got home from school after 3, or it was at 3. So I got home like after 4, but then I've mentioned it before, it was the day after my friend died. So I was definitely not really watching much TV for a while. So you want to get started?
Sure. So then there's several scenes of Lucky and Sly running through the catacombs, chased by the bad guys. Bill Eckerd goes to the catacombs and comes upon the goons just as they find the kids. When the goons go to shoot, Bill jumps in front of the kids and gets shot in the back. The bad guys leave, thinking they shot Luke. Luke arrives just as Bill is dying. Luke and Laura take Sly back to their house.
That's a kind of good way of transitioning from the same actor.
Yeah, we just kill one off.
Yeah.
The Spencers are at Bobbie's for Thanksgiving. Scotty arrives, and when Lucky comes downstairs, Scott realizes that Lucky is Laura's son. Scotty slugs Luke. They have to hold off Lucky from attacking Scotty. Back at the homestead, Luke wants his family to stay with Bobbie as he believes that they will be safer there, more visible with witnesses around. Laura is heartbroken to leave her house. Lucky insists on taking his pet spider to Bobbie's. I do not remember a pet spider. No, thank you.
No. Oh, okay.
At the brownstone, Bobbie screams when she sees Lucky's pet spider. Ever wonder where Lucky got the nickname Cowboy? Check out that hat he's wearing in that scene. Looks like a hat meant for Luke to wear. Somehow Lucky winds up wearing his father's hat and the nickname stuck. Huh.
Yeah.
And little BJ running around. That makes me think of James stealing Cody's cowboy hat.
But then it also has a note saying that it sounds like it was probably an ad lib by Tony Geary, and it probably was. He was probably just like, hey, cowboy, and
Oh, so
Oh,
cute.
that's so sweet, though. That's like Lucky is wearing his dad's hat because he wants to
Yes.
be like his dad. Oh,
When Lucky plays with BJ and Lucas, Lucas falls, and this leads to another parenting lecture from Bobbie to Luke and Laura. Luke doesn't appreciate her words of wisdom. After Bobbie leaves, Laura tells Luke that it just won't work for them to live there. Sunny and Luke meet for the first time. Luke almost throws him down the stairs and tells him to never come to the house. Pretty funny to see Luke's animosity considering their later friendship.
yeah.
And then the next morning, Laura makes a big breakfast. Bobbie comes down, very uptight. Now she's the diet police. She's condescending and tells Laura that Lucas is a diabetic and they have to be very careful with his diet. Is Lucas a diabetic?
Yeah, remember they talked about that with Bobbie being a diabetic.
Oh, I guess I didn't remember him being one.
Oh.
I remembered her diagnosis. I didn't remember his.
Yeah, they talked about it because he was diagnosed as a child, and then because even though they're not biologically related, that's what she found out later.
Okay.
It was it was fairly recently towards the end of Ryan Carnes being on the show.
I don't remember that. Anyway, when BJ asked
is when Bobbie was diagnosed. He was diagnosed as a kid. Yeah.
Right. When BJ asks if they can have eggs and bacon every morning, Bobbie makes a remark that they don't do that due to cholesterol. Laura looks like she wants to sink into the floor. Lucky hides the spider in the box after Bobbie tells him to take it outside. She was less than thrilled to find it in her house. Lucky takes the spider up to his room, and then it says it must be some kind of spider as after Lucky walks out of the room, we see the spider move the lid. Oh my God. No, thank you.
No.
The morning of Bobbie's high tea for Laura and the ladies of Port Charles, the spider is missing. Luke and Laura look for the spider without letting on to Bobbie that it is loose in the house. One morning, Lucky is eating his cereal under the kitchen table. Bobbie has a fit when Lucas wants to eat his breakfast under the table. She tries to make Lucky come out, and he refuses, saying his mom lets him.
Now that's funny because remember we just learned from Dante that Laura and Lulu would have the floor tea parties?
Yes.
Huh. Okay.
So then Laura comes in and doesn't see anything wrong with it and objects to Bobbie disciplining Lucky. Bobbie sees this as total parental irresponsibility and they go at it. Luke comes in and supports Laura. Luke and Laura are still looking for the spider, finally find him, and he is placed in the box. When Bobbie asks Lucky what's in the box, he shows her, and she screams when she sees it. Laura and Lucky talk about the birds and the bees. She's shocked to hear that Luke has already had this discussion with Lucky. Robin and Lucky with Laura at the old house going through the Weber stuff in the attic. Laura continues to tell Lucky about his grandmother, Leslie. Laura wants to enroll Lucky in school. He tells her he wants to make sure that they are going to stay in Port Charles as it is hard for him to change schools. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky
as someone who went through it many times, yeah, it was fun.
Exactly. Lucky and Felicia shadow box. She insists he doesn't want to box with her as he is afraid he will hurt her. He tries some karate moves on her and she impresses him with her skills. Then Kevin suddenly appears in the doorway, distracts her, and Lucky accidentally wallops her on the jaw. Ooh.
Hey, it's Abby Clancy here from the Therapy Crouch, and our podcast is currently sponsored by H&M and their new kids collection. If your kids outgrow clothes overnight like mine do, and they only wear what's popular right now, you'll love this range from H&M. It's stylish, comfy, and packed with autumn essentials. Trousers, sweatshirts, knitwear, skirts, and more. And the best part is the price. So when the next growth spurt hits, you're ready. Shop H&M's latest kids collection in-store or online at hm.com today.
Why are we trying to shadow box Felicia? What the heck?
I don't know.
Luke and Laura and Lucky are at Kelly's. They talk with Jagger about the pink Cadillac. Laura tells Luke she has got a loan for the house for the amazing price of $35,000. Could you imagine buying a house now for $35,000
No.
in real estate?
No.
He is less than thrilled, but Lucky and her talk Luke into it. They go to the house and talk measurements. Luke and Laura and Lucky talk about the new house when Lucky takes pride in how much he is like his father and expresses a desire to be just like him. Luke tells Lucky he wants him to aim higher, to have more out of life than to just want to be like his dad. Oh, that's sad.
But that's sweet. I mean, it's, you always want your kids to have better than you did.
You do, but as a kid, you don't want to hear someone tell you do better.
Right, yeah. So in 1980, the average price was $47,000. So
wow.
That's like just average in the country. So 35's a steal. Go Laura. And that was 10 years earlier. So it was probably closer to like 50, 60.
Right. So then Luke and Laura and Lucky are moving into the new house. Laura shows Lucky a lava lamp she found in Bobbie's attic. It's Laura's birthday, and they surprise her with a little cake and presents. Luke gives her a music box that plays the music that they heard that night at Wyndham's. At Luke and Laura's new house, soot comes shooting out of the chimney, and the roof has collapsed into their bedroom. Luke thinks the house is hopeless. That might explain the good price. Luke and Lucky play cowboys while they are supposed to be cleaning up after the roof disaster. Later, Lucky comes in and asks why they are fighting, and Luke tries to explain their differences to him and tells him about a air quote work situation that they are disagreeing over, and promises Lucky that he is doing everything he can to get out of it. Luke tells them how much he loves them. Laura agrees to trust Luke, but she is obviously very worried. Laura and Lucky bring in the Christmas tree. Laura wants to wait for Luke, and Lucky admits to feeling safe as he has been prepared to run all his life.
At General Hospital, Sly, Lucky, and Laura set up for the Christmas party. Sly is missing his dad. Lucky is worried that Luke won't be back for Christmas, but Laura reassures him that Luke promised he would be back in time. Laura explains that Luke went to meet a boat and help someone get into the United States. She won't tell him any more, as it would be dangerous. It sounds glamorous to Lucky, spies and boats and subterfuge. Dr. Hardy tells the Christmas story for the children at GH.
Aww.
Back home, Lucky and Laura decorate the tree. Laura is upset to see that their Christmas angel has had the wings broken off. Have no fear. Lucky does an instant repair. Luke arrives home and his family is ecstatic to see him. Luke places the angel on the top of the tree. Good news, the phone and the heater are now working at the Spencer's new home. Lucky has a new house for Al the spider as well. Oh, now we have a name, Al. Lucky proposes the garage as a location, and Luke teases Laura by suggesting Al live in the house. Later, Luke scares Laura when he seriously tells her that he has to go out. She is terrified he won't return and begs him not to go. Lucky overhears Luke saying he may not come back, but if he does, it will all be over. It will be all over. Laura screams at Luke not to do it. She fears he may be killed. Lucky follows Luke, though neither Luke or Laura are aware of this. The meeting goes sour and shots are fired. Luke kills the bad guy, but a stray bullet hits Lucky, who is hiding behind a crate. Man, kid, you were only in Port Charles for 2 months before you got shot. I guess that does have to be a record, maybe. Luke screams when he sees Lucky fall forward, bleeding in the abdomen. Oh, no. I mean, I know he's okay, but...
I wonder how it turns out.
Across town, Laura immediately knows that Lucky is in danger. She runs through the house, desperately searching for him. Luke runs to GH carrying Lucky. Tony and Dr. Hardy work on him, and they tell Luke that surgery is required as the bullet is still in Lucky and lodged near his spine as there's a risk of paralysis. Tony operates. Laura goes to see Sonny and badgers him into telling her where Luke's meeting took place. Sonny takes her to the docks. Laura sees the crime scene, the police, the tape, and is terrified when she hears that one man was killed and another shot. Garcia won't tell her who the victim is, so she heads to GH. When Laura sees Luke, she is so relieved that he is alive. But when he tells her Lucky has been shot and is in surgery, she is furious with him over her baby being hurt. Bobbie comes out of surgery and tells them it is going well. Tony tells them that he got the bullet out, but it was a difficult surgery and there is still threat of paralysis. Laura sits by Lucky's side after surgery. He looks so little and vulnerable, hooked up to a respirator. Tony tells Luke and Laura that Lucky is stable even though he hasn't regained consciousness. Finally, Lucky starts to wake up. Tony gives him an exam and says Lucky will be fine. There is muscle weakness in his legs, but no paralysis. Talk turns to Lucky, trying out for Little League. Amy gives him an autographed Mickey Mantle picture.
What?
Dang, Amy. I mean, okay. And Bobbie gives him a spider book. Who's his favorite aunt going to be? Gee, I don't know. To a 10-year-old, well, actually to a 10-year-old boy, it could be the spider book. But if he's a baseball fan, then yeah, he's totally going to go for the Mickey Mantle. Sly visits Lucky next. Luke and Laura talk with Lucky about the mistake he made following Luke. Cute moments as Luke and Laura play blackjack with Lucky for chocolate. And then more heartbreak as Lucky tries to walk and he can't and he collapses to the floor. Tony is sure that it is only due to swelling around the surgery site. Mac brings Lucky a present, then fishes around with Luke for info on the shooting. Next, Felicia brings Lucky boxing gloves and also tries to find out if the Spencers are still in danger from Frank Smith. Laura tells her to butt out. Oh. Laura takes Lucky to physical therapy. When she is returning, Amy tells her that there is a specialist waiting in Lucky's room. Laura is suspicious and sees two goons coming out of Lucky's room. She wheels Lucky away while the goons give chase. I love that we're using the phrase goons. That is such a, like, we don't use that word anymore, but we totally did back then. She hides Lucky in the stairwell, locks the door, and hikes upstairs with Lucky on her back. Oh, she's such a good mom. She makes it to the elevator with the gunmen close behind. Then the gunmen split up, one jumping on top of the elevator and the other taking the stairs. I feel like we would all do it, but it's just that she had that thought process of...
Yeah, I don't know that I'd think that fast. So then Stone had warned Luke and Sonny to go to ground, that a war has erupted and they head to GH to protect Laura and Lucky. Sonny and Luke take out the goon in the stairway while the other goon is shooting at Laura and Lucky through the top of the elevator. They make it to the ground floor and Amy gets them into an ambulance, which Laura takes off in with Lucky with sirens blaring. Amy tells Luke and patches them through to the ambulance. Luke tells her to lay low. Laura seeks refuge with Mary May, who takes them in. Mary May gives Lucky a baby to hold and encourages him to continue to work hard on his recovery. Luke meets up with his family at Ward House. After the crisis has passed, Lucky is back at GH for physical therapy and is finally able to take a step. Laura is ecstatic. Dr. Harvey then reams Laura for stealing an ambulance, bullets in the elevator, body in the basement, but it's obvious he cares for the Spencers. They discuss Lucky's education. Next, outside GH, Lucky meets Foster, who rests his head on Lucky's knee. Lucky wants to take him home, but Laura says no. Then they stop by Kelly's and Jagger introduces them to Karen. Aunt Jenny stops by the house and invites Lucky to sleep over with Sly. The next day, Laura tells Luke that Lucky has been slacking off in therapy. Back outside of GH, Lucky is thrilled to see Foster again. He calls him and Foster comes running but is hit by a car. In order to get to Foster, Lucky walks for the first time since the shooting to reach Foster's side. Laura runs into GH and asks for help. Dr. Hardy is a bit surprised to discover his patient is a dog. Lucky remains on his feet and by Foster's side the whole time. Laura and Lucky take him to a vet for surgery. While they wait, Laura marvels at Lucky walking. Lucky stays with Foster after the surgery and promises that if Foster will be okay, then Lucky will take care of him. Laura says they can keep him as long as Luke agrees. Lucky is thrilled and gives Foster a big hug. Back home, they decide on the name Foster. Luke returns late at night to be greeted by this huge growling dog. He has to ring the doorbell to get into his own house, but is thrilled to see Lucky walking. He agrees to give Foster a couple of days. The next morning, Foster continues to growl at Luke and pees in his boot. Lucky tells
Some good aim.
Lucky tells Luke that Foster doesn't like him. Luke wants the dog gone. Lucky tells him he promised Foster a home, that they made a deal. He also tells Luke that Foster will realize that Luke is the alpha dog, the leader of their pack, but for now it is a territorial dispute between Luke and Foster. Foster thinks he was there before Luke. Cute moment between Luke and Laura the morning of Felicia and Mac's wedding. Sonny arrives and meets Lucky. He tells Luke that they need to go to Connecticut. Foster continues to growl at Luke, but greets Sonny warmly. That's funny.
Huh.
Laura and Luke arrive at the wedding. During the ceremony, Ryan comes in and a fight breaks out. Laura ushers Lucky and Sly out of the building. Ryan has a bomb, and just in the nick of time, Mac throws it to Paul, who hurls it outside. There's a tense moment till Paul comes back in unhurt, but Ryan isn't done. He comes to, and Mac chases him upstairs. They fall over the balcony, and Mac has a concussion and can't get married. He offers the wedding to Paul and Jenny, who agree, because that like always happens here. You just take over a wedding. It's fine. You don't need a license or anything. Later, they arrive at the reception and greet their friends and family. Great scene with all the GHers as Paul makes a wedding toast. As Paul and Jenny plan their honeymoon, Jenny is Sly's aunt. Sly is Lucky's cousin and best friend. Okay. Laura invites Sly to stay with them. The boys are thrilled with the idea. Next, Lucky Man is played by ? On the sax. I don't know who that was.
Would that be oh my gosh, who's the guy that plays David? Hold on. Theme song. David Cause.
That's who it was?
I don't know, it could be.
That's who you wonder. Okay.
That's who I'm wondering, like, is that who it could be?
Okay.
Because he was on the show a couple times.
Yes. And then it says it was a great song that all the Port Charles people danced to, including Lucky and Laura, Robin and Stone, Karen and Jagger, Brenda and Jason. Luke blindfolds Laura, and he and Lucky act like game show hosts to surprise her. He gives her a new dishwasher and a refrigerator. She answers the trivia questions on their history, complete with flashbacks to the night before their wedding. I'm sure the flashbacks were super, super cute, but please don't ever make me play a mystery game and then my prize be a dishwasher and a refrigerator.
But we talked about this because they were on the run so much. So that was, she loved it because that meant they were staying, like they were actually going to be making it a home.
I know, but still no.
But then I'm the person when I was a single mom and I used to use my tax return to get cleaning things. Like I was like, woo, I got a new steam cleaner.
Okay. I was a single mom too, and I never got excited by things like that. But all right.
I'm practical.
Luke comes home to find Foster sprawled all over the couch. Luke has to trick Foster with a dog biscuit to get him off. Laura takes Sly and Lucky out into the woods. They come upon an old cabin. Lucky wants to know if Laura is looking for a place to hide in case of trouble. He doesn't believe her when she says no. At the Ward house, Laura tells Mary May how emotional she has been lately and realizes she's pregnant. Then she tells Luke, who is overjoyed. Lucky comes home and Laura tells him. There's a moving scene as Laura explains to Lucky why people in love make love. Laura tells Mary May about meeting Luke, their trouble with Frank Smith, complete with early flashbacks, and she also tells her about raising Lucky on the run. Luke tells Lucky how proud he is of him and how much he loves him, almost like he's saying goodbye. Luke is off to break Frank out of jail and doesn't know if he'll return. Sean Donnelly comes by to tell Laura that Frank escaped from jail. Laura gets Lucky to distract Sean so she can go look for Luke. Next, Luke and Laura go out of town and Lucky and Sly stay with Ruby. Lucky is worried about his parents. Ruby and Lucky talk about the new baby. Back home, the boys bring in a book of baby names. Aww. Lucky is sure the baby will be a boy and wants to name him Joe. Laura turns on the radio and Luke and Lucky hip hop in a dance off. Paul and Jenny finally return from the world's longest honeymoon. Jenny and Laura talk about Lucky and Sly. Luke and Laura are off on another job. Lucky stays with Mary May this time. There's the powerful scene as she tells Lucky about her great-grandmother's escape from slavery. I love Mary May.
Mm-hmm.
Two of Frank's goons try to break into the Spencer house, but they are greeted by a growling Foster. Laura is later kidnapped from the Ward house. Luke takes Lucky to Ruby to wait while he rescues Laura. Luke takes Foster to the docks and finds where Laura is being held. Foster jumps through a window, distracts the goons, while Luke breaks in through the door. Meanwhile, Lucky is worrying about his parents. He asks Ruby if anything happened to them, if he could live with her, and of course she says yes. Ruby is curious if Lucky is jealous over the attention his parents will give the baby. He says no way. He is so excited. Lucky is very relieved when Luke and Laura show up safe and sound. Back at home, Laura shows Luke the tape of the sonogram. The tape of the sonogram. It is Lulu's first appearance. She tells Luke the baby is a girl. BJ's birthday party, cute moment with Tony and BJ slow dancing together. Luke is musing that he will have a daughter. Laura, Lucky, and Sly have a picnic and do some gardening. And then Luke shows up to tell Laura about BJ's death and transplanting her heart into the ailing Maxie. And then they tell Lucky. Oh, I didn't realize that was right after her birthday.
So this is a quick hello goodbye because we totally forgot to end our episode of Lucky and did not realize until I was editing and was like, wait, we did not end the show.
Oops. That's because we just love Lucky so much. We didn't want to stop.
Yeah. So the story kind of ended. Well, it didn't kind of end. It ended when they found out that they were going to have Lulu. So I don't even know how to transition that, but it just felt so weird to have it. Well, the funny thing is, well, it's not funny really. So I guess a small correction we could be having is the night that we recorded Lucky was Thursday, August 29th, and Jagger was shot and presumed dead August 30th. And we had wondered what would happen when Lucky saw Jagger. And so we're already able to kind of make that update. Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing is going to happen. I haven't watched today's yet, so
me neither.
I don't know if anything's changed with that, but anything you want to say?
Nope.
200 something 411s, miss one exit. That's fine. But so I guess
it makes
join
sense
us.
that it would be Lucky.
Right. So join us on Monday as we talk probably a little bit more about Lucky. I'm going to guess that he was on at some point this week, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see.
So have a good weekend.
And we'll meet with the beer.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.